On today's show, did Christian Wood not know that he was coming off the bench to start the season? We talked to him at Media Day. This is going to be our new thing. We'll tell you about that. And Luka Doncic spoke to us as well on Mavs Media Day. We'll hear from him and all that coming up on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Hey, Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good!
And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Letting it ride on a media day. Let it ride. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. Remember, Locked On Mavs is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, where you can watch all of our Media Day player interviews, as well as our interview with Nico Harrison. We had Luka Doncic. We had Jaden Hardy. We had Christian Wood that we'll talk about and show a clip from today. All that great stuff. And joining me, as always, my co-host, contributor, writer at Mavs.com, the Media Day darling, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
It's so good to be back. I mean, this is basically the kickoff of another season for the media. You know, we back in the arena. You know, year 6 for us doing this pod, year 7 for us covering the Mavs. And man, it's just fun. Like you said, I mean, it's good to see some of the guys again, to chop it up with Dodo. And it's like, man, we started covering the Mavs at Dorian's rookie season.
There were tears shed.
But also, you know, seeing, you know, some of the new guys, like we haven't, you know, one of the cool things for us each year, especially, you know, after COVID, is meeting some of these guys for the first time. So getting to meet Christian Wood and JaVale McGee.
Man, you're casual.
Jaden Hardy, and just being around him. So it's just, I love meeting the guys, especially in a setting like this before, you know, locker rooms get a little awkward sometimes, but it's good. We had a really fun team last year. A lot of good group of guys last year. And I think we're going to have another good group of guys to cover this year too.
Yeah, an incredible group of guys. So if you don't know, Isaac and I were able to have a station at Mavericks Media Day, again, for the second year in a row, where we got one-on-one interviews with a bunch of different Mavericks. We talked to, you know, Dorian Finney-Smith, Luka Doncic, Jaden Hardy, Christian Wood. And so all of those are up on our YouTube channel right now. So go check them all out. It's the playlist 2022 Mavs Media Day interview. So go check it all out. And today we're going to hear from one of them.
If you want to look up 2021 Media Day, we talked to Jalen Brunson last year at Media Day, but we didn't get a chance. We didn't get a chance to talk to him this year.
Hold on.
Explain yourself.
Sorry. We did ask Luka about that Knicks matchup coming up in December, and I think that'll be a fun one to see.
Stick to the end and hear Luka talk about Jalen Brunson on the podcast form.
Go watch Theo Pinson's interview too of what trash talk he has ready for Jalen Brunson.
Oh, just some gold that we got. But let's talk about Christian Wood, because I think that was the big story coming out of Media Day for the Mavericks. And one of the things was that we knew he was coming off the bench. This is something that we have known. If you're just coming back to the Mavericks and you said, all right, Media Days, I'm going to dive back in, listen to Mavericks content again. Welcome back. This is Locked On Mavs. We're 5 days a week on YouTube and the podcast and everything.
Good to see you guys.
Welcome back. Welcome back. We've been here. Jason Kidd at Summer League back in July said that Spencer Dinwiddie and JaVale McGee were going to start. And we already knew Luka's going to start. We figured that Dorian Finney-Smith was going to start. So we were trying to figure out who the 5th starter was. I thought it was going to be Christian Wood. And then a report from Tim Cato comes out like a couple weeks later that says that Reggie Bullock's going to be the 5th starter and that Christian Wood's going to start the season coming off the bench. We knew this. We knew this was going to happen. And so Christian Wood at Media Day does his big session with all the other reporters.
I feel like McMahon even said something about Christian Wood coming off the bench too.
I think several reporters said things about it, had reports. But he does his big, press conference, and they were asked, about being a 6th man and coming off the bench. And he's like, this is the first I'm hearing about it. Okay.
Well, even go back before that. At 10:10, Jason Kidd is the first person in the main media session.
Right.
And he's asked about it. And he gives the quote, "Hey, Christian Wood, I'm not asking him to be the microwave. I'm asking him to be C.Wood. coming off the bench.
Yeah.
But then, keep going.
So Jason Kidd tells the media out loud that he's going to be the sixth man, or going to start the season off the bench. And then Christian Wood does his press conference with everybody and says that he didn't know. Well, like an hour before that meeting, before his big session, he talked to us, and this is what he said.
Coming off the bench to start the season, sixth man, is that right? Do you know that?
I have no clue.
No clue?
I have no clue.
If you are, does anything change about your approach?
No. I'm pretty much motivated into what I want to do this season, which is I'm not going to even hold back, which is kind of be an all-star and get to the finals and help this team win some games, whether that's off the bench or starting. I'm pretty much motivated.
Yeah. So you haven't talked to Jason Kidd about your role yet, and not sure exactly what to expect.
No, we haven't had that discussion.
So he hasn't had the discussion with Jason Kidd. You came out right and said it, like, sixth man? You're going to be the sixth man? And he's like, I haven't heard anything about that. I haven't talked with Jason Kidd about that. And this is before he does his bigger press conference with all the other reporters.
His face when I started, like I was saying in a question, like we all assume, we all know here, hey, so you're going to be sixth man. And his face, and it's like we both kind of had the smirk of like, oh, crap. Like,
did we just tell him?
Does he know? And literally he leaves. And remember, this is an hour before he tells all the other media, hey, first I'm hearing about it. He leaves and you look at me and you're like, did you just break it to him that he's coming off the bench? and I'm like, no, there's surely not. But so then it turns into this, even I'm like, we get on Twitter, we're like trying to monitor different stuff. And I see, a good portion of the fan base afterwards saying, oh, he's just joking. Like, he's clearly just joking by the clip.
And then at like 2:30, which when media day is pretty much all over, everything had been done at that point, he tweets LOL just by itself, just LOL, like just to put more fuel to the fire. Did he know? Did you think he know? Just by, like, you and I were sitting there like 2 feet from him, and you told him sixth man, he's going to be sixth man from his facial expression.
I don't think it's a joke, and I don't think he knew. And that's just me reading it. This could just be a huge, big game plan from him. And sure, but I don't think his reaction, I don't think based off the instant look on his face to us, I don't think he would just straight up, just flat out. Once again, I could be wrong. I don't think he just straight up just looks at you when you say you and Jason Kidd haven't even talked about your role yet. And he's like, no, we haven't had that discussion. Like, he wasn't even laughing in that one. So like, unless he's just flat out lying just for the fun of it, I just don't think he would do that in that moment. I know the clip that's going around the media, thing of him like laughing. And it's like, yeah, it's the first I heard about and stuff. And I get how that could come across as jokes. I just don't think he was joking. I think he was being truthful, but I also don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah,
so
here we go.
We're leading with this in the first segment because that's what a lot of Mavs fans are talking about. And I think
it's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting, but it's not that big of a deal. So like, we're having fun with it, but
so does it matter? Why doesn't it matter? Why is it not a big deal then? That a player that thinks he's the second best player on the team comes in, he's going to be coming off the bench, didn't seem to know, and then two like podcasters tell him that he's going to be coming off the bench, and then he gets a little surprised by it. Why is that not a big deal?
He has to, unless he's just been living under a rock. He had to be have read the same report that we have, or somebody in his life had read the Tim Cato report. Like,
he's been working with Sean Sweeney like daily. He talked about how Sean Sweeney's like killing him in these workouts. They have to talk about what his role is. Like, maybe Jason Kidd hasn't talked to him, but somebody in the coaching staff had to have talked to him.
So like, you can see it different ways. You can see the LOL tweet as like, he's just laughing at everybody trying to make a big deal out of it. He's just playing a big joke.
Laughing that we made a big deal about it, right? Laughing that,
like media,
Twitter, media, all that.
Or what if he's just tweeting LOL saying like, I could just laugh at this, that I'm going to come off the bench. Me?
Right.
Who's going to be an all-star this year? LOL.
Yeah.
Like, if like
Derrick Rose told me I'm going to be an all-star this year.
And he's talking about being an all-star.
Right.
So I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it is a tad bit weird if they haven't talked about his role at all, which he said to you he hasn't. Yeah. They did trade for him. It's not like he was a free agent and said, hey, come sign with us. And they didn't tell him a role. So they did trade for him. So that part kind of makes sense if they haven't. But I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
The vibes from Christian Wood, though, were great.
Oh, so much
were great.
fun.
Like outside of this 6-man thing and that little like exchange, the vibes were great. It seems like he wants to come in. He wants to be part of a winning organization. Like he's ready to be part of a playoff team. He told us about all the different players he talked to and like how they told him how tough the playoffs were. And he's like, I'm ready for that. Like I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to be that in my career at this point. And
he is ready to win.
It seemed like he was ready to win. Like I'm buying into all the vibes I got from him outside of just that 1-6-man. So I'm not getting too hung up on just that one comment.
We also asked JaVale McGee. We asked every Mavs interview or the interviews we had. Hey, if you could watch any of your teammates' lives, like in a reality show, you had to watch it every week, who would it be? JaVale said Christian Wood because he's just such an interesting dude. And I'm fascinated to learn more about Christian Wood. He was an awesome dude. And it was really cool to talk to him.
Coming up, really cool to also talk to Nico Harrison. He was a really good interview, and he talked about the third ball handler situation. And you're gonna downplay the Christian Wood situation. I'm gonna downplay this third ball handler situation because I think I'm buying it a little bit. And we're gonna talk about that and talk about why next. But before we do, let me tell you about BetOnline. It's the best place to check out the odds and lines inside and outside of sports. Go check it out. BetOnline. They have all the odds right now. Thursday night football, the Dolphins against the Bengals. Dolphins are 3-0. Bengals have 2 weird losses. Who do you think is favored? What's the spread in the NFL?
Where's it at?
It's in Cincy.
I'm going to say Cincy by 2.5.
Me and Scott Tomlin, we're getting all kinds of crap for the Bengals today at Mavs Media Day. Bengals by 3.5.
Okay.
That line surprises me. So go check it out at BetOnline. They also have basketball odds, all kinds of stuff. They have the first 2 games of the year, October 18th, Sixers Celtics. The Celtics, with all the stuff they're going through, still favored. They're -4. Go check that out. It's BetOnline. It's where the game starts. All right, Isaac Harris, we're continuing to talk about Dallas Mavericks Media Day. It was a great day for us. We had interviews that are all available on our YouTube channel, so go check them out right now. And we talked to Nico Harrison. And one of the other big stories going into Media Day for the Dallas Mavericks is that they don't have a third ball handler. They lose Jalen Brunson. Spencer Dinwiddie gets upgraded from this third ball handler to now he's starting with Luka to be the secondary ball handler. Even before Jalen Brunson's arrival, like that he rose to prominence last year, we were calling for just a second ball handler for years, like almost 3 years calling for the Mavs need another ball handler. Then all of a sudden they had 3 with Luka and 2 other guys that worked. And now we're back down to 2 again, which is more than we had 2 years ago, but less than we had last year, if you want to do the math that way. Nico Harrison commented on this. He commented on a couple other things. So we'll play a clip from him, from our interview with him about that. And see what Nico Harrison had to say about this.
I know you're probably getting asked about this a lot, but you lose JB, you naturally lose a third ball handler on the team. How are you answering that question when somebody says, "Hey, you have Luka, you have Dinwiddie, who's gonna create or handle the ball whenever one of them's not on the floor or in the second unit?"
People forget about Frank. Frank played big minutes in the playoffs, and he's a ball handler. Jaden, who's young, like how quick can he progress to get on the floor and help us? We have Tyler Dorsey, who most people didn't know about until this summer. So I'm optimistic of the team we have, and then we have an open roster spot. So
I was interested when he said about Frank Ntilikina. People forget about Frank. People forget about do people forget about Frank?
No, they don't. No, I mean casual fans do for sure.
And then he mentions Jaden Hardy. How quickly can he become? And that's a real thing. If Jaden Hardy comes in, he's like a contributor right away. Then maybe he fills some of that role a little bit too. Tyler Dorsey played really well overseas in Eurobasket for Greece. We watched him play really well. I'm not sure he's exactly a ball handler or what the Mavericks want in a ball handler, but he's that. And then that's kind of their answer right now. He didn't mention Josh Green. Greg St. Jean, assistant coach for the Mavs, mentioned Josh Green when we asked him this question on the podcast a little while ago.
I think Jason Kidd even mentioned Josh Green today in his main session.
Yeah, and so that's their answer right now. But the last thing that Nico Harrison said, I think, is the key. They still have an open roster spot.
That was a key moment, yeah.
They still have an open roster. He talks about flexibility a little bit later. I guess I have to play the thing.
explain. Dallas is going to get a seat at the table.
We got a seat at the table, baby.
We did get a seat at the table with Nico Harrison. They have an open roster spot. I think that the Mavericks will be fine through the beginning portion of the season trying this out. What if Jaden Hardy looks really good and you don't have to waste any other assets trying to go get another ball handler and he comes in and he plays okay? What if Frank does take a step forward? What if Josh Green takes a step forward? Like, there's a couple of things that could happen. Now, they seem like long shots, but I think that's fine in the regular season. I think you can get away with it. You are bringing Tim back, so you do have more scoring. Christian Wood is more scoring. Like, you have enough scoring. You don't have enough creation. And you know what you don't have enough creation for is the playoffs. But you have enough creation for the regular season. The Mavericks have played regular seasons with Luka as like the only ball handler and then, like one backup point guard maybe. They have at least two right now. And I think the Mavericks do need to address this before a playoff run. That's when it needs to happen. And I think that making a big deal about it now is just still a little too early.
See, I think you could almost make an argument for the other way, that it matters more for the regular season than it does the playoffs. Just because in the playoffs, it's like, Luka's going to log like 40 minutes and Dinwiddie's going to, log like 35. And it's like there is a realistic scenario in a playoff series that you can never have time on the floor in which both of them guys are off. But you want to spread out minutes and stuff in the regular season. So, let's say Luka he tweaks an ankle. He's out for a week. Well, who the crap is running the offense outside of Dinwiddie? I mean, Dinwiddie can't play all 48. You don't want him to play all 48. So it's Frank running the offense. So I still think it's an issue. I do think it's an issue for the regular season. And I thought, the overwhelming answer, with Jason Kidd throwing out names, including Josh Green, with Nico throwing out all these names, they're going by this, our buddy Kirk Henderson tweeted out a thing of Oprah saying, and you are ball, it's like
you're a ball handler. You're a ball handler. Everyone is a ball handler.
It was great. It was a great thing because that was like one of the themes is like, hey, we got a committee. It's the committee thing of we're going to have all these dudes. We're going to test them out. They're going to test it out in training camp. They're going to test it out in training, or in preseason. And we're going to be like really scrutinize it in preseason. Like, all right, who can run this offense right now? But it's that last thing, like you said. Him just throwing it out there, and we have another, open roster spot.
Yeah,
that to me was like a telling thing of if you are sold on one dude or even two dudes of saying, "Hey, we have Frank Ntilikina and Josh Green. Both those guys are capable. We're excited to see who takes that next step." But they're just throwing all the names out there and mentioning the roster spot. I've been saying it. Somebody tweeted at me the other day, say, "Hey, do you think the Mavs still make a trade?" Yes, I still think the Mavs make a trade before the start of the regular season.
Before the start of this regular season?
Yeah.
I mean, it is September 26th now. We are getting close.
Yeah, we got like a month? 3 or 4 weeks?
First game is October 18th for the NBA regular season. When's the Mavs' first game? I mean, we're getting real close here.
We are.
For them to make it. The first game is the 19th. You still think you're gonna make a trade?
I do, yeah. Maybe I should hedge it and say I think they're going to make or add a ball handler.
Okay. I talked about on Friday that it could be Kemba Walker. I think he's going to get waived by the Pistons, and then the Mavs pick him up and put him in that open roster spot.
Sure, try it. Like for a minimum contract, I mean, I would have preferred Dragic, but for a minimum contract, sure. We'll see what,
that's a flyer.
I don't want to spend any more time on Kemba Walker right now.
So that's the thing from Nico Harrison is that they're going by committee at least to start the season. I think they're going to have enough scoring to make up for it. Yeah, you'd like one more ball handler to feel good about this roster, but you don't. But you short up a couple other things. You're going into the season with a different group, and it's a different group with a different vibe. They're going to be able to run different things. They're going to be able to run, some bigger lineups. We talked to Spencer Dinwiddie, and we were like, there's going to be moments, like even in the starting lineup, where you're the smallest guy on the court. And he's like, yeah, and that's crazy. Like just the way he looked at us. Before we show Luka's interview, we're going to play Luka's interview in entirety. Anything else stand out to you from Media Day, just from day one?
Oh my gosh, we have so much stuff. I mean, we're going to, one, the amount of people coming up to us at Media Day talking about how much they listen to the show. I think that was really cool.
Well, shout out to Teddy, shout out to Michael, shout out to everybody that talked to us on Media Day.
Shout out to Chauncey. Yeah, just people in the organization, people, other media and stuff. It's always fun to talk about the show. But I mean, there's a lot of good stuff. Go watch all the videos on YouTube. We're also going to talk about it more over the next day or so. Training camp starts today. If you're listening to this on Tuesday, practices start back up. So we'll probably get some quotes and stuff, coming out of practice, but we're going to still talk about some of this, and we're going to play, some of the audio and stuff over the next day or so. The Theo Pinson interview is just absolutely, incredible stuff from him. He's so much fun. Been on the pod before.
I think the most fun ones we had were obviously Dorian, because we've grown up with him, and now it feels like I had so much fun with Jaden Hardy, because it just feels like Jaden Hardy was like so happy to be there. He was like, guys, and he could go a totally different direction. We'll probably talk about Jaden Hardy a little bit later in the week.
We got to play his stuff like.
But he could have been so down in the dumps, like, oh, I was a second round pick and blah blah blah. And he was just like, dude, I'm so happy to be part of this team. They went really far in the playoffs last year, and I'm happy to be part of this chemistry and Luka and like meet him and everything. Like, it was so cool to see that. And then Pinson, obviously, we've had him on the show a couple times, and he's always awesome.
Yeah, man, guys are great. Obviously, hanging out with Luka, you're about to hear our whole conversation with Luka, and just one of the fun things. Obviously, we can't show this on audio platform, but we ask each one of Luka's teammates to draw his logo.
Oh yeah,
on a whiteboard, and some of it was great. Some of them got really close. Nico drew like a square. Kind of. And
it was 2 sevens, but the 2 sevens did make a square.
Theo's is just absolutely remarkable. But with Luka straight up is like cheating, and he's like looking at his shoe, trying to draw his logo. But anyway, great time chopping it up with Luka.
Yeah, so coming up, let's get into our entire interview with Luka Doncic. You can listen to it here on the audio platform, and then throughout the week, we'll be bringing back other clips and talking about other things that stood out to us in Media Day, talking about training camp and all that. We'll talk about that coming up.
What's up, man? All right, Luka. How are you? This season, what makes this season a successful season?
I don't know. I think we gotta start slowly.
He's been showing off his.
Talking about what's the goal, but we just gotta go step by step. First preseason, start. It's gotta be better than last year, so we gotta go step by step.
Did the playoff run last year change your opinion on that? Because I remember last year we talked about this NBA championship every year.
Yeah, I mean it's the same goal every year. That's the ultimate goal. We want
this season. What makes this? When you think back to that playoff run, what do you think about the most? Do you think about the Suns win Game 7 or losing to the Warriors?
I mean, obviously losing to the Warriors, because if we would have won against Warriors, we could have won to the finals.
Did the playoff run last year change your opinion on that? Because I remember last year we talked about. What's your favorite moment looking back every year? At that playoff run. Is it a moment in the Sun series, Jazz series?
I mean, it's probably the Game 7.
When you think back to that
way
playoff run, what do you think about
everybody was super locked in.
The Suns win
Everybody
Game
played
7
amazing.
or losing to the Warriors?
So probably that Game 7.
When you think back to that run, whether it's individually or as a team, what do you think you learned the most from a long playoff run like that?
I think we learned a lot, especially when we played the Warriors. The way they played, because they already won championships, so they know what they play. So we learned from them. We learned from it.
Christian Wood, new guy on the team, got brought in. Have you talked to him? Have you been in contact with him at all?
Yeah. I mean, I just came 2 days, so 1 day ago, so not much, but I did talk to him. I think I'm really excited. We're really excited to have him on the Mavs.
What do you think he's going to bring to the team on the court?
I mean, a lot. Because he's good on both sides of basketball. I mean, on the ends, he can block shots. He can defend.
Christian Wood,
and on the offensive end, he can shoot, he can dunk, he can do a lot of things. So he's gonna help us.
Rookies come in now. Now you've been in the league a handful of years. What's the advice you give to young guys?
I mean, I always say the same. You just gotta enjoy basketball. You gotta have fun playing it. You gotta work hard, and that's it. I mean, that's my advice.
He's good on both sides.
Mavs brought in a new assistant coach, Marco Milic, that you've known for like a lot of your life. What do you think he's going to bring to this team, and are you excited to see him join this team now?
Yeah, I'm really excited. You know, he's a great guy. He knows about basketball. He was the first to win in the NBA. Hopefully, he'll teach us how to jump like him at young ages. If you didn't see him, you should check it.
He's thrown down sometimes.
He jumped over a car. So it's pretty amazing.
You can't jump over a car?
Yeah, the mini one.
Mavs brought in a new assistant coach, Marco Milic. So, like, you grow up, learn, like, seeing. Was he like the Michael Jordan for you? What kind of a player would he be?
I mean, yeah, he was one of the best Slovenian players for sure. You know, he played in Olympia. He played with my father. I was there. I remember. So yeah, he was one of the best Slovenians.
You have a season under your belt with Jason Kidd now. What's the biggest difference going from Rick Carlisle to Jason Kidd?
I mean, difference. They're different coaches, different persons.
So, like, you grow up, learn, like,
I don't know
seeing,
really
was
the
he like
difference,
the
but they're
Michael
both
Jordan
great
for you?
coaches. You
What kind of a player
know,
would
with
he
Kidd,
be?
you know, he knows. I think in what position I am, because he's been the point guard. You know, he was one of the best point guards. He knows the game and he understands it. So I'm really glad he's the coach.
You're going to go up against Jalen Brunson and the Knicks in December. What do you look forward to going against Brunson?
It's gonna be fun, man. That's the match I'm looking forward to. It's gonna be really fun.
Is he gonna try to guard you in the post?
I don't know. You gotta ask him that.
What do you say to the people who say that you guys got worse? Obviously, you can't replace a Jalen Brunson. But I think some people can look at it from a national angle and say, hey, they lost Brunson. They got worse as a team. What do you say to that?
I mean, I don't know. People say anything these days. So it's funny, especially in the social media. So I don't pay attention. But, you know, like you said, you can't replace Jalen. He was really big. He's an amazing player, amazing person. He just gave these Dallas Mavericks so much. And he deserved everything he got, but you can't replace him.
But I think some people can look at it from a national angle.
People are going to have bigger role this year, especially I think Spencer. So we'll see how it goes.
I mean, I don't know, man. People say
all right, now's the moment. That's true. We need you to draw your own logo, as we've asked all your teammates to draw it. They've gotten pretty good. Are you looking at your shoes? Are you cheating?
He's got the reference. He's
amazing person, you know. He just gave these Dallas Mavericks.
gonna start tracing it.
And he deserves everything.
He is
got.
using the resources.
You can't replace him. But you know, some people are going to
This
have
is
bigger
riveting
role this
content
year,
right
especially
now.
I
Look
think
at that.
Spencer. So
That's
we'll see how
okay.
it goes.
Did you make the logo? Do you
Now's the
have
moment.
any say in that?
We need you to draw your own logo, as we've asked all your teammates to draw
There it is.
They've gotten Luka Doncic pretty good. Drawing his own logo. Right
He's
here.
got the reference.
A couple more funny ones for you.
What's so we've asked everybody if you could watch a reality show. So cameras follow somebody's life of any Mavericks teammate. Who would you want to watch? Whose life would you want to watch?
Look at that.
Did you
I
make the
say
logo?
Javel
Do you
McGee.
have any say in that?
Ooh,
I don't know him that much, but I think his life must be interesting.
Look at that. There it is.
Won some titles, played with LeBron.
Luka Doncic. We've also asked your Draw his own teammates logo. what's the most Right annoying here. thing about you, good or bad.
Couple more funny ones for
Me?
you.
Yeah.
What's
What
so
would
we've
you
asked
say?
everybody
What
if
do
you
you
could watch a
think they would
reality show. So cameras follow somebody's life.
Did the most guys
any
say bad
Mavericks
things or
teammate.
good things?
It's been nice.
Christian Wood said it was annoying that anytime that you have a play that works, you just keep doing it over and over and over again. And he's looking forward to being on there.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Reggie
That
might have
is
said
true.
something about your music,
Won some
maybe.
titles, played with LeBron.
Oh, of course.
We've also asked your teammates, what's the most
Was Dodo here
important thing
already?
about you, good
Yeah,
or
what did
bad?
Dodo say?
Me?
Dorian.
He said the best for
I
sure.
can't remember what he said.
Yeah, he couldn't come up with that.
I know JB went at your English last year pretty hard.
It's been nice.
He
I
can't
guess.
speak four languages.
Christian Wood said it was annoying that every
No,
time
but
you have
I
a
would
play
say the
that
good
works,
thing,
you
the
just
music.
keep doing it over and
There
over
you
and
go.
It's a
over
good
again.
thing.
He's
We'll
looking
turn the
forward to
table
being
to your
on
last
there.
question. On Media
Reggie
Day,
might have
you
said
get
something
all the
about
questions
your
asked to
music,
you.
maybe.
What's one question you have for us?
Of course. Was Dodo here already?
Can you do all the
Yeah,
media
what did
stuff?
Dodo
for me?
say?
Nobody's interested in us like they're interested in you.
That's my question and request.
I can't throw a skip pass across the court with one
You should.
hand.
You know what you should do? You should have Luke AI
I wish.
do all of your
All right.
I would say
Media
the
Day
good
stuff.
thing.
I wish.
Luca.
We'll turn the table to
thank
your
you.
last question. On Media Day, you get all